Hey guys, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, and I'm based here in beautiful, sunny Southwest Florida. And I just spent a whole lot of money recently on new cameras, and I've been asking myself a really important question, and that is spending all this money on all this new stuff really worth it? So let me tell you the genesis of where all this is coming from. Recently, I purchased the Sony A7R Mark III and the Sony A7 Mark III. And don't get me wrong, these are really great cameras with some noticeable and important improvements from previous generation of camera, notably autofocus performance from the various modes to IAF, both for animals and people, to dynamic range, in-body stabilization, etc. But are the differences really so much better than, say, a 3 or 4-year-old Nikon DSLR? Especially in terms of results. Is new gear really worth it? Well, I think the answer is it depends. Regardless of whether you just shoot video or just shoot stills, chances are pretty good you can find a 2, 3, or even 4-year-old camera that'll fit your needs just perfectly. And the differences between current cameras and all those old cameras will be surprisingly nominal, especially again in terms of results. Now, newer cameras do make getting to the promised land quicker and easier, and there's always going to be a justification for getting the latest and greatest stuff, especially if there's a key feature or two that you know you just can't live without. Yeah, that was me too, but I've been doing this for a while now, and I've come to realize that the latest gear does not a great photographer make. To further illustrate my point, my current camera of choice for my real estate work is my 5-year-old Nikon D750. And by the way, shameless plug, speaking of real estate photography, Camp Miles Real Estate Photography for the Real World is now on sale for just $49.99 until September 12th. The course is going to be updated soon and the price is going to go up as well, so take advantage while you still can. Back to old cameras. My current portrait camera of choice, the one that I use most frequently, is the Nikon D4, which came out in, wait for it, 2012. That was 7 years ago. The point being is you can get into this business and be incredibly successful without blowing your entire budget on the latest gear, specifically the latest cameras. So where am I going with all this? Well, I want to give you some advice, and here it is. From now on, I would seriously consider buying used gear, specifically used cameras. Spend your money on more important things like lenses and lighting. I hate to say it, but good cameras today, they're a dime a dozen. I know camera companies just don't want to hear this, but in my opinion, over the last 5 years specifically, improvements in camera technology have been largely incremental and evolutionary. Now don't get me wrong, they keep getting better than previous generations, but in my opinion, only marginally so. Certainly not so much better than previous models to justify the $1,000 or more increases in pricing over those previous generations and models. The second piece of advice that I would offer is consider buying used third-party lenses, Sigma lenses in particular. Since 2013, when Sigma released the 35 Art Series lens, third-party manufacturers have gotten so much better and have upped their game considerably. Sigma, Tamron, now even Tokina with their Opera line. Third-party lenses don't hold their value the same way first-party glass does, but one could argue, again specifically in the case of Sigma, the quality of their optics are every bit as good as first-party glass. They also have longer warranties and now the ability to update firmware via their docks as new camera bodies enter the marketplace to ensure future-proofing and compatibility. I know a lot of people like that new lens and that new camera smell, that feeling of getting the latest and greatest, that momentary sense of bliss that assuages our insatiable desire to quench our gear acquisition syndrome. I totally get it. But you know what? Get over it. Because a customer doesn't care what camera or lens you have when you took their picture. You know what they really care about? They care about things like this. Do my arms look fat? Is my butt too big? Does my hair and makeup look good? There is no unsuck filter in your pictures, and the latest and greatest camera isn't going to change that. The latest and greatest camera simply isn't going to make you a better photographer. So the question you're probably asking is, well, Darren, you bought those Sony A7s, how are you using them? I think it's a fair question. Since I have both the A7R and the A7 Mark IIIs, the answer is I use them both primarily for video. I wouldn't use the A7R Mark III for my real estate work because the 45 or whatever megapixel sensor, for me the files are impractically huge. And for that very same reason, I won't be getting the A7R Mark IV either. because I don't need 60 plus megapixels, and frankly, the video quality isn't that much better than the Mark IIIs. Again, I know some of you will have a logical justification and will see the value in the A7R Mark IV, but I'm not in that category. In fact, when the time comes to replace my beloved D750, whose shutter count is now approaching 600,000 clicks, chances are about 100% that I'm going to be replacing it with another new or used D750. So, there you have it. I don't think you need to spend your money on the latest and greatest gear anymore because great cameras have been around for the last 5 to 7 years, and you can save yourself a lot of money by considering used. So, what say you? I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, and I'm based here in beautiful, sunny Southwest Florida. If you like videos like this, please go ahead and give me a like, or better yet, subscribe. And until the next time, happy shooting.